Hey guys, welcome back to Mindset Made Better. I'm Heather, and today we're talking about the differences between healthy and unhealthy relationships. But before we get started, if you like videos about self-improvement and tips and tricks on how to live well, you have come to the right place. We created this channel to go in depth on our articles over on mindsetmadebetter.com, and here you will find videos that take a deeper dive into personal issues that you may be facing, and videos that hopefully inspire and support you and help illuminate your path ahead. Today's quote over on our website is, "The responsibility of love is to keep another heart safe." And I saw this quote on Instagram a while ago. I believe it was on an account for Tommy Vext of Bad Wolves. And it's resonated with me for quite some time because honestly, I think we lose sight of that responsibility that we take on when we choose to be in a relationship. We are often so consumed with what we want and need out of a relationship that we forget that we have a responsibility to our partner to provide a loving and safe place for them too. Sometimes we tend to focus on what the relationship isn't giving us, rather than all the positive things that we do experience from it. This got me thinking about what a healthy relationship really looks like and the idea that we are always a work in progress. And as we grow from the past and current relationships that we have, we learn more about ourselves and what kind of partner is going to complement us. So today I'm going to go over 10 components that are necessary in a relationship for it to be a healthy one that truly thrives. And for each one that I talk about, I'm also going to talk about what a relationship that lacks these traits may look like and how it may impact the relationship negatively. Starting with number 1, you can be happy and whole on your own. While it's true that our partners encompass a big part of our lives, they should not be our end-all be-all. Their job isn't to complete us. It's important to have your own interests, friends, and hobbies that make you happy and excited about your life. And if you rely on your partner too much for your happiness, you're placing an unfair burden on him or her, and you're creating an unhealthy dependence on that relationship. Get as healthy and happy as you can on your own, and be mindful of vulnerabilities that you may have that can cause you to become overdependent on your partner. Now, in an unhealthy relationship, one or both people may feel too dependent on what the other does in the relationship, and that in turn determines their own personal happiness. For example, say that when I text my partner, I expect them to be super responsive to my text messages. And if they don't respond quickly, I wonder what they're doing and why they're not responding. Their lack of a fast response may be due to anything, yet my mood has completely become affected by something external that I can't control to determine my own mood. And this might seem like a silly example, but when we're too reliant on our partner to make us feel good about the relationship or ourselves, this pattern can become a slippery slope. If you're overly dependent on someone else making you happy, one, it is a completely ineffective strategy to feel happy because no one can give that to you but you. And two, you put a very unfair burden on your partner to be responsible for things that just simply aren't their responsibility. When your emotions are fueled by the idea that my partner is the source of my happiness, it's very easy for controlling behaviors to emerge in the relationship, which can go sideways very fast. So your partner should complement your life and yes, bring happiness to you as well, but it shouldn't be their responsibility. It shouldn't be an obligation. It shouldn't be their job. The key to your own happiness lies directly in your pocket. Number 2, there is trust on both sides. Trust is the foundation of any relationship. If you don't have trust, anything you try to build will be questioned at some point. This is how it looks in my marriage. My husband and I trust each other and we respect each other's privacy. We don't go through each other's phone looking for things or question each other's intentions with how we interact with other people. I trust that we have a similar heart and core values until proven otherwise. In an unhealthy relationship, there is a suspicion and lack of trust of your partner, and perhaps there's a reason for it. Maybe your partner broke your trust before, but perhaps the lack of trust comes from previous people hurting you, and you've gone into this current relationship on the defensive, protecting yourself so you don't get hurt again. Try to understand what is causing the lack of trust. Is it something going on from your past and truly unrelated to your current relationship? Is there a valid reason why you don't trust your partner? And if so, are you committed to trying to rebuild that trust, or is the situation completely broken? Or is there some kind of conflict with who you both are at your core that's creating this lack of trust? And that brings me to number 3. Number 3, each person is authentic and they love and respect who each other is at their core. This means that you aren't trying to change their personality or character traits or core values. Yes, there are always going to be little things that you wish that your partner would do differently, but those are really small things. For example, my husband leaves a pantry light on in the kitchen, and it doesn't matter what time of day or night it is. If he ventured into the pantry at any point, that light is usually left on. And it's actually become endearing to me now, and I laugh about it and I'll just shut the light off when I see it. But at the end of the day, your partner should see all of your flaws and love you anyway. You know that your partner knows your soul and has your best interests at heart and approaches things that way. You are each other's person, and your person is an asset to you because they know you and can point out things that you might not be seeing because you're too close to a situation. Your partner should be a positive reinforcer, and that when you lose sight of yourself, they help steer you back in the right direction, and not because it's their responsibility, but because they know who you are at your core and they care about you. Now, the flip side of this is that at the end of the day, you don't respect or even like who your partner is at their core. And this is where people will try to change the other in the relationship. Say, for example, you have a partner who, by your standards, behaves in an unethical fashion in his or her profession, and it just doesn't sit well with you, but everything else about them is great. If this really bothers you, be honest with yourself about that and don't try to change that in your partner. Maybe they just see things differently and don't feel that they need to change anything. When we aren't honest with ourselves about how we really feel about who our partner is at their core, it's really easy to fall into the cycle of trying to change them. You get into a fight and that person says that they'll change, and they do for a brief period of time, but then they go back to how they were before because they don't really find anything wrong with it. And this can become an emotional roller coaster. Number 4, you both know how to effectively communicate. Now, communication is more than just being able to be open and talk to each other. How you communicate is just as important. In a healthy relationship, you can communicate without projecting onto each other, closing down, stonewalling, being passive-aggressive, giving the silent treatment, or blaming the other person for your feelings. You can listen to hear your partner rather than listen to respond to your partner. Ego is removed, and you aren't thinking of all the things that you want to say while they're talking, or ways that you can defend yourself or prove your point. In an unhealthy relationship, you don't really think about how you're communicating. Your emotions run the show, and you don't approach the situation with the end goal of coming up with a solution to the problem. You're too focused on the emotions that you're feeling. And all the things that I just mentioned, like projecting, stonewalling, being passive-aggressive, those are commonplace and normal in this kind of relationship. And it stems from a place of the people in the relationship not taking personal responsibility for their own feelings. And this brings me to number 5, which I believe is the most important component of all healthy relationships. Number 5, each person takes personal responsibility for their own feelings, actions, and thoughts. When you take responsibility for yourself, you own how your actions impact the relationship, both positive and negative. You understand that other people don't make you feel a particular way. You take responsibility for how you're feeling, regardless of what your partner says or does. It's saying that no matter what happens, you'll be responsible for yourself and will always have empathy for your partner and where they're coming from. You will respect it even if you don't agree with it. Now, this doesn't mean that you're a doormat and don't stand up for yourself. It means that you know how to take care of yourself emotionally and mentally. You know how to soothe yourself and respond in a calm, measured fashion. And when you know how to handle and take care of yourself, you don't put the responsibility of feeling okay onto someone else. You don't allow what someone said or did to change your emotional state. In an unhealthy relationship, people will completely avoid taking responsibility for themselves. As a matter of fact, nothing is their fault. It is all their partner's fault. You see, people avoid owning their own feelings and actions because it requires them to take action. Think about it. When you stop and really think about how something makes you feel, and you know that how you're feeling is your responsibility and not anyone else's, you have to make a decision and take action. Responding in unhealthy ways just keeps us on a hamster wheel of denial and avoiding responsibility. It keeps us stuck, and it shows up as tons of unnecessary drama in an unhealthy relationship. Number 6, you treat each other with respect. Now, many people get hung up on respect, which I totally get. I used to believe that was the absolute number one thing that you need in a healthy relationship, and it's definitely important. But what treating each other with respect really is actually a state of the relationship. It's how you both relate to each other and just are with one another. And this is reflected in communication, as well as owning what you say and do in the relationship, which is basically a combination of numbers 4 and 5 on this list. In an unhealthy dynamic, the state of the relationship isn't approached with openness, love, and respect, and looking at the bigger picture of the actual relationship. The state of it originates more from emotions and feelings that are running rampant on that given day. You communicate in ineffective ways, and you don't take responsibility for your thoughts, feelings, and actions. Number 7. You both welcome boundaries and aren't offended by each other setting them. Boundaries are basically our standards. It is our way of communicating what we'll tolerate and what we will not accept. And this is where we teach people how to treat us. Now, it's important to be clear with yourself about what your standards are. Then you can communicate that to your partner. Too often, we'll find ourselves in situations where we're upset because a boundary's been crossed, but we didn't even realize it was a boundary for us until it had been crossed and we were left feeling hurt or angry or what have you. If you are still dealing with wounds that you haven't healed, be careful with boundaries. When we come from a wounded place, we might not believe that we're worth enough to adhere to our own standards for what a relationship should look like for us. So we may set boundaries, but we're unable to enforce them. And when that happens, we're teaching the other person that we will tolerate them violating our boundaries, and they will continue to violate our boundaries. Also, in an unhealthy relationship, one partner might actually get mad at the other for setting boundaries. They may be offended or take it as an insult, which it most definitely is not. And I always say that unhealthy people don't like it when healthy people set boundaries. A healthy partner or even a person in your non-romantic relationships should never get mad at you for setting a boundary. And if they do not respect you. Number 8, each partner makes the relationship a priority and actively puts forth effort. Now, even when you both have hectic and busy lives, it is absolutely crucial to carve out time consistently to prioritize quality time to connect. And now, this might be a date night once a week or every other week, but make it quality time by leaving your phones behind. You know, couples often lose sight of the fun, light vibe they had in the beginning of their relationship. So keep flirting and having fun with each other and put forth effort into your appearance like you did in the very beginning. And when you're in an unhealthy relationship, your partner may put all that responsibility on you to make the relationship a priority, or you may feel like it is their job to do so for one reason or another. But when two people want to make something work and put effort into their relationship, they will each take on ownership of doing so and not put the responsibility wholly on the other person. And going back to healthy relationship trait number 5, when each partner takes responsibility for themselves, they take on ownership for how their actions and inactions impact the relationship. And number 9, you both know how to resolve conflict. Approach conflict as a team and remember that what the argument is about isn't as important as the relationship. Look for a solution to the problem as a team, like it is both of you against the issue rather than against each other. In an unhealthy relationship dynamic, partners focus solely on the argument and conflict. And for some people, it becomes a life and death kind of battle against each other. And oftentimes, this is when a bunch of things will come up from the past that you thought were resolved, and then they end up getting rehashed too. They don't look for a solution to the problem together as a team. It becomes you against your partner in the battle of who is right or who holds the higher ground. And finally, number 10, show gratitude and appreciation for each other. Show each other appreciation and gratitude often. Focus on what your partner does give you rather than what might be missing on any given day because life happens. Make sure you tell them what you appreciate about them because that goes a long way. When was the last time you complimented your partner or told them how much you appreciate them doing something? Now, when you're in an unhealthy relationship, you lose sight of telling your partner these things because you're so wrapped up in what is wrong about the relationship. Or you just might not want to tell your partner these things out of spite because you're coming from such a wounded place. And honestly, maybe there are a lot of things wrong about the relationship right now, but it doesn't mean that your partner isn't doing some things right or doing some things that you can appreciate. Sometimes showing gratitude and appreciation for your partner, even during difficult times, can be an icebreaker or just give you a fair perspective about what's really going on in the relationship. So those are the top 10 components of what a healthy relationship looks like. And if while watching this video you found that you and your partner have some unhealthy traits, know that that is totally okay. This is an opportunity for you to see what's going right and what things you may need to work on as a couple. And I can tell you that most people have many elements of both healthy and unhealthy traits in their relationships, even the ones that look super healthy on the outside. No relationship is perfect, and we should always be striving to become the best versions of ourselves and take our relationships to that next level. If you guys liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It will help us majorly. And if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to our channel. We'll be putting out a video at least once a week. And you can also check out our daily posts over on mindsetmadebetter.com, which I will link in the description box down below. Until next time, stay healthy, stay positive, and remember that no matter what you're facing in your relationships, you always have the power to change the road that you're on. We'll see you next time.